Warning. Only novelty and repetition are possible. Those are the only two options. And usually it's repetition. It could be a novel combination of things that are being repeated. But ultimately, like real full-on novelty is pretty rare. So it's probably not even worth striving for. It's just novel repetitions. That's totally doable.
Whoa! That's my creative voice. Welcome back to the Seriously Creative Podcast. I'm your creative host, Aaron, being creative, and that's your other creative host, Shawn.
I specialize in repetition.
Creative repetition.
Yes, of course. I learned there's a film called Welcome Back that came out in 2015, and I thought it was a really creative film, but it'd also be a creative way to kind of welcome you back to our show by telling you a little about it. It's a sequel to a movie called Welcome, and it features an ensemble cast. And this is from Wikipedia.
How do you know this is a creative movie? Have you seen this movie? I know for a fact that you have not seen this movie.
Well, Bollywood Hungama gave the film 3.5 stars and said, if you enjoy slapstick comedy that defies logic, then Welcome Back is surely a Paisia Vazul entertainment for you.
Paisia Vazul?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I didn't read the whole sentence before I started reading it.
That's very creative of you, I think.
Thank you. Well, I try to bring creativity to every intro, and so I thought this time, hey, this is a Hindi action comedy film with the same name of what I want to do to the audience, which is welcome them back.
Fuck. I'm out of ideas.
No,
I'm not creative anymore. God, I'm a fucking fraud. I've always been a fraud. I have no creative ideas. I'm a complete loser. Everything I've ever made is bullshit. It's terrible. And I should probably kill myself or go into the box making industry or something equally uncreative, because that's about all I'm good for.
Well, wait, no, but let's break this down, because I feel like you had some interesting and creative ideas for what to do with your life if you had no creativity. First, you suggested that you might kill yourself.
Yeah. Is that creative?
Well, it's a creative response to what most people wouldn't perceive as a problem at all. But you also said work at a box factory. That's kind of neat.
I guess so.
Like something that an uncreative person would do. Like, That's good. What's that called? The sidestepping thinking?
Lateral thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good lateral thinking. You're like, if I'm not creative, then I should work at a box making factory. But I got a lot of problems with the stuff you said about yourself. That's negative self-talk.
Yeah, and that's true. I was just like, I feel like, I don't know, the process of creative people has a lot of self-doubt in it. At least mine does. And I've heard from many others that that's just something you deal with a lot of the time. Like, you oscillate between like, I'm the greatest, the most genius thing ever. God, this is perfect. I'm amazing. And like, wow, everything I've done is hack, terrible, garbage, and I'm useless. Why am I even trying?
T.S. Eliot said that anxiety is the handmaiden of creativity.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, and Paisa Vazul is Hindi, and it means value for money. So Welcome Back is a good value for money picture. If you just want to get in, have a good entertaining experience, some slapstick that defies logic.
Great movie at a great price.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back to the show.
And Yay. Welcome back.
And you're welcome. You're welcome for being welcomed.
This can't be right, right?
This episode of Seriously Wrong is brought to you by a creative new food that Shawn and I just invented during the break. It's called a lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich.
Oh, yum, yum. I'm so hungry, and this lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich is really hitting the spot. Where'd you get the idea from this?
Bolt of lightning hit my head, and I was like, what if I combined lemon butter, pepper jelly, salmon into a sandwich?
I love all those individual parts, but I'd never think to put them all together. And so I have to thank you. I have to thank whatever touched you. And I have to thank the producers of this bread, obviously, and the guy who caught the salmon, and don't forget the lemon butter and the pepper jelly,
Yeah.
and all of the hardworking hands that went into that. We call that praxeology.
Do we? Just goes to show you how easy it is to be creative and make up new things.
Find me one goddamn lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich before the date of the publish of this episode, and I'll eat my hat, because know what? We invented that shit. It's 100% new.
And hats don't taste very good. Not like a lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich, which is what this episode is brought to you by.
Yeah, I might put a little lemon butter and pepper jelly on that hat just to be able to eat it.
Oh, you should try some salmon too.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a creative idea for eating the hat.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Hey, Shawn, what do you think creativity is?
I think that creativity is, well, it's a couple things. It depends what you mean by it.
Well, I think that it's tapping into your soul and your intuition and allowing them to guide what you make.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's
actually what Bernadette Jiwa thinks it is. I tricked you. I said
you
that's
mean-
what I thought.
You're
but-
talking about brand guru Bernadette Jiwa?
Is that what she actually is? A brand guru?
I'm pretty sure Bernadette Jiwa is a brand guru.
Bernadette Jiwa. I saw the brand storyteller. Yeah. I just wasn't sure if that was...
She's
Yeah.
a recognized global authority on the role of story in business, innovation, and marketing, and the author of 5 best-selling books.
Yeah, so she's all about narrative and stuff like we are. She's like the narrative of your business. She's the capitalist version of us. We're like the narrative of society and politics are important. And she's like, the narrative of your business is important. So that's what Bernadette Jiwa says. Tap into your soul and intuition and allow them to guide what you make. What is it when you realize how corporatized she is? It feels more hollow than it felt originally.
I mean, it's kind of true. Like what she's saying is kind of true. I mean, intuition in that it's like a creativity comes from a part of your brain that isn't the kind of language.
Yeah, well, it's not just like, it's not just the logical process. There's got to be those jumps. Like we mentioned lateral thinking in the intro, and the idea of lateral thinking is it's like associative. It's like you take an idea and move to something kind of related, kind of not. Like one of the things I was reading about in terms of creativity was the role of psychedelics and the idea of like, do psychedelics increase creativity? And one of the technical things that psychedelics do that people say could be associated with enhanced creativity is increased lateral thinking. So like puts your brain in a hyper associative state where things seem to be meaningfully connected that maybe wouldn't seem to be meaningfully connected in a normal brain. And by exploring those seemingly meaningful connections, sometimes you can come up with something that actually is like an interesting idea. Although sometimes it might just sound like, yo, man, what if ducks had glasses on? I don't know.
But it turns out that if you make a Photoshop of that, it is fucking sweet. And it was a good idea.
Yeah, ducks with glasses on.
Yeah.
See, I just pulled that out of nowhere. It's my genius of creativity.
Where did that come from? That's like
I'm
magic.
just using my soul and intuition to guide what I make.
But I mean, like the part of your brain that deals with language, it's a very limited part of the overall brain structure, but it's also how we consciously respond to our own thoughts is through language. So like invariably, if we're going to talk about our own brain, it's going to be done through language. So as a result, there's like a feeling of maybe like kind of a separation there. Like Arthur Koestler, who is a journalist, I had no idea who he was. I just found this quote. He said that creative activity is a type of learning process where the teacher and pupil are located in the same individual. But I think it's because like the things that our brain does that is not linguistic, it's not like logical, it's not from that one part of our brain that is doing that, it can feel like an outsider. Like invariably you're using language to refer to other parts of the brain. So there's kind of like an implicit sort of separation there.
Do you feel like you think in words, or do you feel like you think in images or like more pure thought forms more often? Like, I think we all like kind of think in a mix of them, but I feel like I tend to be a very word oriented thinker.
I'd say a mix. And I think with doing art and writing both, there's a little bit of a back and forth. For example, art has a feedback loop in it. Like when I'm doing art, my hand can't do exactly what I imagine in my head. And I'll actually very rarely try to plan exactly what it's going to look like. I just have an idea of like the direction that I want to go.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like a feedback loop process where I'm watching what
appears.
What I'm creating then feeds into like what I would ideally like to see, and then trying to fill in those gaps. And like, and I feel like it's the same with language and writing. Like, I don't totally think in language, and it does feel like sometimes it feels like the part of your brain that isn't dealing with language is presenting something to another part of your brain that it's pieced together in a pre-linguistic form of thought, which would make sense. Like, why would we run all logic through language? Like, that would be a really inefficient use of brain resources.
And then I guess we'll do a bit here, hey? Time for a bit?
Yeah. No, we should do
like a funny...
Yeah, like a little interstitial sort of gag-based in-character thing.
Brainstorm. Let's get creative. Let's think of some ideas. What if you and I talk to each other?
Yeah.
We'll say things.
Could do one of those like a keyboard.
And what if we made it funny?
I like that idea.
Yeah.
So maybe one of us likes creativity and the other thinks creativity's bad.
Yeah.
Kind of,
I guess.
Bring it over the top. Haven't really got an angle on it.
Yeah. This is just, no ideas are flowing.
Yeah. No, this is just one of those moments where you hate yourself, where you're like, I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough.
Yeah. It's making me doubt that anything that we've ever done on this show was actually funny. Like, because what are these ideas we're coming up with? Another keyboard bit?
Yeah, no, I'm embarrassed even to consider that.
Oh, it's a floating baby.
I'm Sparkle Baby.
Hi there, baby.
Hi.
What are you doing here appearing out of thin air?
I'm a muse from beyond space and time. I'm going to give you creative ideas. In fact, all creative ideas you've ever had are sourced in me, not you.
Oh, okay.
Really?
So it's your fault that we're not having any ideas.
It's my fault that you're about to get the best idea you ever had. Sparkle Baby. Holy shit, I got it. It's a sandwich. Wait for it.
Okay.
Lemon, butter, pepper jelly, salmon sandwich.
Lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich. That's really creative. That's amazing. This is a game changer. It's a game changer.
It's not from me. It's from the muse. Now let's do the old lemon butter pepper jelly sketch. I'm a wealthy industrialist. Who's at a sandwich restaurant, and I ask you for the specials. And then you tell me what the special is, and I'm shocked because I've never heard something so creative.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Go.
Oh, hello, good sir. I'm a wealthy industrialist. Would you please let me know what your sandwich special of the day is, please?
Oh, of course, sir. Well, today we have actually an extra special, chef special sandwich.
Oh, good. Delightful.
It's called the lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich.
What?
You heard me. That's lemon butter pepper jelly salmon sandwich. It's so good.
What is happening? That's crazy. That's too creative. Ah!
Oh my God. The wealthy industrialist died. He was just so shocked at the creativity of the sandwich. Chef, it happened again. Another customer died when they heard about what your sandwich was.
Oh my goodness. I shouldn't be so creative. I create such a big problem.
The biggest problem to me is that now these people never get to taste this sandwich.
The sandwich is so tasty. If only they taste, instead they die of shock from creativity.
Oh well, I'll clear out the body.
Okay, I'm gonna go back being creative in the kitchen.
Remember to thank Sparkle Baby for all your ideas. That's where your ideas come from.
Oh, Sparkle Baby. I don't believe in that stupid wish-wash. The idea comes from me.
Camera pans up. Sparkle Baby's in the corner. He winks at the waiter. Waiter winks back. They'll let the chef believes what he believes. It's okay. Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, said that creativity is the strange partnership between a human being's labor and the mystery of inspiration. I find all these quotes funny. I really like a lot of them, but the thing that I like about them is that when I was trying to research on this topic, first I was looking through all these attempts to systematize creativity and divide it up into different these are the different types of creativity, and there's so many different versions of this out there that you can find. And I felt like these poetic things get at it a little bit better. Like Henry Rollins says, it's interpreting something that you saw or experienced and processing it so it comes out different than how it went in. That's more of like a remix version of creativity. Or copying smarter. That's Lisa Barone, which is a much more pithy way to say what Henry Rollins just said.
Yeah, I found all the narratives of what the functions of creativity, I found them all super dry and boring and actually annoying because they were just so arbitrary and they were so useless. I mean, I didn't read them all, and maybe there's good models of creativity out there, and maybe I didn't give these models of creativity a fair shot, but I was actually straight up angry at my computer today.
No, I know, I could tell when you were talking this morning when you first got to my house, you were just like, fucking stupid, that's stupid, this thing was stupid. And I'll justify that very briefly by just saying that it didn't provide me any useful information that I could somehow either leverage into better or more creative action, or even just, it didn't give me something I could hold as understanding the way things work. I didn't feel like it was touching at the way things work. It was entirely just about drawing arbitrary lines and categories, and then sometimes very selectively, poetically kind of describing these categories, but in a way that was just super rigid and cold and boring. Yeah, it's almost like trying to systematize what creativity is you have to kill the frog to dissect it. You can't creativity is one of those things that's not easily cordoned off into bits and pieces and understood by breaking it apart into little things. It's just one of those things that's hard to talk about with specifically. You have to kind of point at it rather than, oh, I can break it down into these pieces. A chair has so many pieces. It has the legs, it has the back, it has the seat, it has the armrests. Those are the pieces of a chair. Not so easy to do with creativity.
Well, it applies to a couple different things. You could look at the spark of a new idea as the moment of creativity and define creativity very narrowly as an internal process happening in someone's brain. Or you could look at creativity based on outcome. Doing a painting is more creative than not doing a painting, even if the painting itself isn't very creative. It's
right.
A boring...
Yeah, as someone who had a really, really interesting, innovative idea for a painting that they never made, is that more creative than someone who made a derivative painting of a cottage that people have seen a million times before?
Yeah, or you tried to copy Bob Ross and did it really bad.
Right. But that's actually going back to the Elizabeth Gilbert thing, the partnership between labor and inspiration. You need both of those halves. If you just have the idea, maybe that's creative, but if you don't put in the work to make the thing, then it's only one half of actually being creative, because you can't say you created something if you didn't create anything, if you just had the idea to create something. People have really great ideas for stories all the time. Oh, I could write a novel. I have this idea for it. But if you don't actually sit down and write it, you didn't create anything. Mm-hmm.
If you don't put in the hundreds of hours it takes to make an album, write a novel, make a video game, whatever, you could be the most creative person in the world in that way. But if there's no follow through and discipline and all the things that come into the actual process of create. So it's kind of different definitions floating around. It's one of the reasons it feels hard to systematize as a whole.
I think my ultimate answer to the what is creativity thing is that it's the famous quote on what is pornography. You know it when you see it. The distinction between a pornography and nudes, it's hard to tell. You know it when you see it. I think it's the same thing with creativity. It's not something you can just make a definition for, but people know what it is when they see it.
I think if I got to sum it up really quickly, what my definition of creativity is, it's creativity is the result of reshuffling psychic material, which is unconscious to the individual and thereby only seems spontaneous. People are conditioned by their environment. They've got inputs that feed the capacity and breadth of their imagination and their ability to remix information. And the psychic material shuffled in ways that appear spontaneous to the outside, but are actually completely mechanical, internalized to a set of overlapping skill sets that everyone has in various degrees. So a highly creative person might have an intersection between a lot of intelligence, breadth on a knowledge, and capacity to think laterally, or other similar things that we don't have definitions for, but are material in nature. Either that or the soul thing, like floating ghosts around that give people ideas.
The muses.
The muses, yeah.
Yeah, the muses send inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy,
Yeah,
Daddy,
son.
I was at the school today and we were supposed to paint pictures, and the teacher said we had to come up with creative ideas to paint pictures, creative, and I didn't come up with any ideas. So how do you get creative ideas?
Oh, well, that's a really good question, son, and I thank you for honoring me by asking it that way.
You're welcome.
All creative ideas come from a muse.
A muse.
Yeah, it's called Sparkle Baby, and it's a little
Oh.
floating, sparkling baby that goes across time and space, and it's the source of all good ideas.
What gender is the baby?
That is a really good question. I've always just seen it as more of a genderless thing, but I actually don't know for sure.
Oh,
That's a smart question. You got a touch of the Sparkle Baby there with that question, because that's creative.
oh, so that question came from the baby?
Well, yeah, everything interesting or positive or creative or anything like that is channeled directly through us from Sparkle Baby.
Not from me.
Yeah, no, it's not from you at all. Anything good comes from Sparkle Baby. Anything bad, impure, anytime that you can't do what you want to do, you can't come up with an idea, that comes from you and your fallen flesh, your perverted flesh. That's where that comes from. But
My
Sparkle-
flesh is a perverted?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me.
Yeah, no problem, son.
I have one other question for you.
Sure, shoot, little guy.
Where do babies come from? Not Sparkle Baby, but normal babies.
Come on, Sparkle Baby, give me something. Babies come from a plane.
An airplane?
Yeah, an airplane will actually land at the hospital and drop off the babies to the new parents.
Where does the plane get it from?
The plane doesn't get it, it comes from plane.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's the full answer, so
Okay, Daddy.
yeah, if you just lead me to my work now.
What are you working on?
Come on, Sparkle Baby, give me something. I'm working on a plane. Yes!
Okay, thank you, Dad. Bye.
Thank you, son. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I know you hated all the models of creativity,
Pretty much, yeah.
but let's take a look at a few of them, and you tell me why they suck.
Okay.
Here's one.
I'll try to be fair. You know, I'm not going to just tell you why they suck. I'll try to be fair.
Okay,
But they just happen to mostly suck.
this is a model of the process of creativity. This is a process model by Poincare and von Helmholtz. Built on early accounts of the creative process by pioneering thesis Graham Wallace and Max Wertheimer. It's a 5-step model. 1, preparation. Preparatory work on a problem that focuses the individual's mind on the problem and explores the problem's dimensions. Part 2, incubation, where the problem is internalized into the unconscious mind and nothing appears to be happening externally. You're just incubating. Part 3 is intimation. The creative person gets a little feeling that the solution is on the way. Part 4 is illumination or insight, where the creative idea bursts forth from its pre-conscious processing into conscious awareness. And then part 5 is verification, where the idea is consciously verified, elaborated, and then applied. What do you think about that model of creative insight?
It's fine.
Do you prep, incubate, intimate, illuminate, and then verify? Is that how you create things, Shawn?
No, it's stupid. It's like, in a sense, sure, like, but it's like the power of myth thing, like, where it's just like, now you opened the wooded door, and it's like every story goes this way, where you open a metaphorical wooded door. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's really fine. It's not as bad as it gets, but there's a step for having a feeling you're gonna have an idea, and then there's a step for getting the idea. It's like, it's really like, what kind of a fucking cycle is that? You're just like, first you prepare for having the, like, in the sense, yes, you're imprinted on by the world, your experiences. In that sense, sure, there's a preparatory period for creativity. For any idea, there's different elements that you've picked up through your life or recently. And the feeling, having a feeling you're about to have an idea is not part of the process.
It's not a
like,
step.
You got to cut that step out. Bad. Unless there's something I don't understand about it, that is a stupid step.
The thing about this that felt true to me, the part of it that seemed to map on to it, was very specifically the incubation period thing, because very often when I'm facing a problem in some, like, say we're preparing for a podcast, or I'm like trying to figure out some issue with the story that I'm writing or something, if it's not coming to me, a lot of the time the best thing to do is just to not consciously think about it, to just like go away from it. And then, like, when I'm not focused on it, sometimes those intimations come. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I got a hint of something that makes sense there, and then I have it a little bit later, and that part makes sense to me. It feels true to what I've experienced.
Yeah, I mean, incubation is it's a way to describe not thinking about the problem for a while.
Yeah, right. Incubation is where the problem is internalized into the unconscious mind and nothing externally appears to be happening. Yeah, I guess maybe I did interpret that a bit.
But okay, so to be hypercritical here, and I'm perfectly okay with this step, it's actually fine. But just to be super hypercritical,
sure,
on any given problem, if you're looking at creativity as problem solving, on any given problem, if you don't get to the solution right away, you've only got one other option, and that's stop thinking about the problem. And then if at any point you come upon the solution to the problem, you'll begin thinking about the problem again. So it's like saying that your keys are always in the last place you look because you stop looking.
Right.
And then they're assigning some values to this period of not thinking about the problem, which may very well, there may be something going on in our brain we don't understand, or maybe not. Like, maybe that's just you're actually just thinking about the groceries and shit.
Sometimes the problem, like, you just do get the answer right away. Like, what should I do with this part? Oh yeah, I should do this thing. And there's like not really that gap.
But then, and that's one option. And then the only other option is that you stop thinking about it for a while until,
Okay, how about this model? What is creativity? Like, according to Bowden brackets 1998, I don't know, this is the copy thing I pasted down. There are three main types of creativity. Number one is the combinational creativity that involves combining familiar ideas into something new. Number two is exploratory creativity that involves the generation of new ideas by the exploration of structured concepts. And three is transformational creativity that involves the transformation of some dimension of the structure into a new structure. What do you think about that, Shawn?
All three of them are just the first one repeated in specific instances.
No, one was combining two familiar things.
Oh, just two, like...
Oh, well, no, sorry, combining familiar things. Sorry,
okay.
It could be more than two.
Not including concepts, though. Because concepts is its own step.
Well, no. One was combining ideas or concepts. One was exploring structured concepts. So it's not combining things, it's just exploring structured concepts.
What the fuck does that mean?
And the third one was transforming structures. It's not word salad. It's not word salad.
I got a problem with this one. Combining, yes. Exploring, that's a really fuzzy metaphor you got there. Mm-hmm. Exploring. Mm-hmm. Concept structures.
Exploring structured concepts.
Structured concepts. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but you're just ultimately, what do you do after you're done exploring is you combine them. Like, but just it's fucking.
Well, here, how about this model? Here's another model.
What's the third one? Because I'm pretty sure it's also redundant.
Transformational. So involves transforming some dimension of the structure into a new structure.
Oh, different than.
One's exploring the structure. The other one is transforming the structure.
Combining ideas or transforming dimensions, which transforming the dimensions of ideas, like two separate steps. I've just invented them.
No, not steps. Just types.
Yeah,
separate
types. Two separate types.
Yeah.
It's all one type. You've described one thing.
Oh, I saw that you just got your hair done. That's a really creative look. Really creative.
We enjoy so much having Joshua at our school. He is certainly one of the more creative kids that we have. He's always creating kind of new ways to behave, and he's always got something creative under his fingernails. We're excited to have him.
Oh, you made dinner for me. Oh, that's great. That's great. Here, let me taste it. Yeah, it's creative. Creative. Thanks for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Kind of a creative use of company time.
Oh, your new boyfriend? Well, I mean, creative choice on your part, I guess. It's, if you're happy, then that's great.
Oh, Shawn, Aaron, I just listened to the new episode of your show. Yeah, it was creative. I'll say that. It was creative.
Oh, yeah, I finally got around to reading that your PhD thesis you wanted me to give you some notes on. I don't really know what to say. It's creative. It's a creative thesis you got there. I don't think anyone else would have thought of that.
That's creative math right there. I'm not sure that a calculator would come to that same conclusion, but I gotta hand it to you. That is an interesting and creative, unorthodox use of mathematical symbols. So, hats off to you.
I gotta think of one more to end the bit. I don't know. Just one more derogatory, creative thing. Sparkle Baby? Can you help me, Sparkle Baby?
Tell them that you hate yourself.
Thanks, Sparkle Baby. I hate myself. Okay, so here's another model of different types of creativity. It's like a 4 quadrants. Picture 4 quadrants.
Okay.
Along the top, it says cognitive and emotional. And along the side, it says deliberate and spontaneous. So there's deliberate cognitive creativity. That's like the example they give is Thomas Edison. So he was like thinking about this problem deliberately using his brain. So
people
deliberately.
Go on the spectrum?
What's that?
People go on the spectrum.
It's just an example.
Okay.
It's an example of deliberate cognitive creativity is like Thomas Edison and I think any scientist who's putting their mind to a problem. Then there's deliberate emotional creativity, which is like going to therapy and like you've realized something about yourself. You're trying to have an emotional realization deliberately, and you do. And then there's spontaneous cognitive creativity, which is like Newton and the apple is the example they give. So the apple drops down. He wasn't trying to figure that out. It just came to him when the apple came. And
it's creative versus structured.
It's deliberate, spontaneous, and then cognitive and emotional. So you can have deliberate cognitive, deliberate emotional, or spontaneous cognitive and spontaneous emotional. Genius, right? It's really maps creativity well. It helps you out to know these distinctions.
It is fine. It's fine. It's certainly one lens.
Yeah. Okay. And the last model I'm going to toss at you, one that I already know you think is stupid because I mentioned it before we were recording, is the 4C model of creativity. There's mini C, which is just personally meaningful interpretations of experiences. So it's like the mini bits of creativity that are involved in changing your own thoughts about something. There's little C, which is everyday creative thoughts and actions that impact not just you, but your zone of influence as well. So like, you have a creative idea, you share it with someone else, you write a little song with your friends or sing to your friends, and your little C, like everyday creativity, not just internal, but external as well. Then there's Pro C, which is creative acts of people who are experts or experienced. So like, graphic designers, people who are professional musicians, people who've taken it on themselves to really get a creative skill and learn it well. They've become professional on it. They're in organizations. They've worked at it and they've gotten some mastery of it. And then there's Big C, which is eminent creativity of exceptional people who have a lasting impact on culture, society, and the world and are remembered. So that's like your Pro C, but you're so fucking good at it that you become like, the Beatles or whatever. Illuminating. That's what I would say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think about the difference between when you said the first one. I think there's something kind of thought-provoking there. I mean, the whole thing, it's fine. This is actually probably the best out of the ones that you've listed. It's still just kind of like arbitrary. Like, I guess it's relevant to have like an impact in a lot of people's minds because we're all building on shared knowledge in some way. So like, if someone achieves being in that last level or just happens to be taxonomically in that level for some reason, it's true that has some creative significance because creativity is happening in a shared space. You know what? I'm coming around to this one. This one's all right. I don't like the titles mini C and stuff. It's kind of stupid, but kind of dumb. That's a little bit of being like one of the features of creativity theories is just being super dumb. And that's the point where this particular theory shows that it's dumb.
Just the names.
Mini C.
The dumb.
What are they? Mini C, Mega C?
Mini C, Little C, Pro C, and Big C.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know. My thoughts about all these things is like, it's like, that touching the elephant metaphor. It's like, you can't just describe creativity in one go. All these things are like, you're drawing these artificial distinctions and they all have limited usefulness. And yeah, it's okay. It's like political charts. Like all political charts inherently lose definition because the actual domain of political thought is not a 2-dimensional chart or even a 3-dimensional chart. It's like, it's the real world. It's like almost infinitely dimensional. I don't want to say infinite, but there's so much there. You can't condense it into a chart. And the same thing is true of creativity. So it's all kind of just limited usefulness, all these things.
See, I don't feel like creativity is that complicated. I just feel like everyone's off the mark.
I don't think it's complicated, but I think it's ineffable. I think it's hard to describe.
I think it's effable. I think it's hyper effable.
Go.
Creativity results from reshuffling psychic material, which is unconscious to the individual and thereby only seems spontaneous. People are conditioned by their environment and inputs throughout their life to have a capacity and breadth of human imagination and capacity to mix ideas together, remix things, modify elements of them, and imagine things that don't exist. This psychic material shuffled in a way that seems spontaneous and is often helpful in problem solving. That's creativity.
Yeah, I think that's about as useful as the 4C model. That's okay. That's an all right definition. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. My teen is out of control. So creative. He won't stop creating things all day long. Like he gets home from school, he's painting, he's making sculptures, he's making new foods, he's making new inventions. He invented a way to clean all the plastic out of the oceans last week. It's just like, stop, do teenage things, get drunk, date, vandalize something. I don't know. It's like, it's awful. I know what to do. I'll call Teen Patrol.
Hello, you've reached the Teen Patrol hotline. Our business hours are now closed. If it is an emergency, stay on the line. You are now connecting to Teen Patrol After Hours. A $79 connection fee will apply. If this is okay with you, stay on the line.
$79, that's a lot of money, but this is an emergency. I don't think it can wait till morning. He's up there right now creating things. Bedroom, he won't go to bed.
Hey, Teen Patrol After Hours, how can I help you?
Hey, my teen is just way too creative. It's causing huge problems, rifts in the family.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He fixed my shoes last week.
What?
He drew a tattoo on his mother while she was sleeping. Beautiful tattoo.
Sounds like someone needs to bring that teen to heel.
Can you send someone?
Yeah, we can definitely send someone. Our regular office hours, we start at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, so we could send someone crack of the morning.
Could you send anyone right now? He's up there creating things right now. I can't get any sleep.
Yeah, we can. It's just extremely expensive. Is money an object to you?
You know what? No. Money is no object. I need you to stop this teen now.
All right, we're sending someone right away. Should be there pretty shortly. If you open up your Teen Patrol app, you can actually see where the teen stopper is driving.
Oh, that's so neat.
And I know you want someone there right away. It might take as much as 25, 35 minutes, and I'm sorry for that delay. But if it's any consolation, on the Teen Patrol app, there is a 24-hour Teen Stoppers radio station that's designed to soothe and comfort parents.
Oh, well, you guys really thought of everything, didn't you? It's a full-service teen patrol.
We are full service.
You know, I remember when I was a kid and my dad would call Teen Patrol on me. They didn't have any of these amenities. This modern age we live in.
Things have really changed, but I'm going to let you go because my time is extremely valuable. See you later.
Okay, bye. Thanks for your help. Do you think anyone can be creative if they try? Or do you think some people are just born with the creativity gene?
It's in general, yes. There's probably exceptions. I mean, no, there literally is exceptions. Like there's people in comas and stuff.
Right. Or someone with a severe learning disability might not be as able to do certain creative tasks.
I don't know my whole way inside and out the statistics, how many there are and stuff. But generally speaking, regular human function would include creativity. The same way that having 5 fingers on each hand is regular function, although there are exceptions. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. In personality psychology, one of the main models people use is called the Big Five. And one of the 5 personality dimensions is openness, which is supposed to be basically the creativity dimension. And according to that way of thinking about things, people are either high in openness or not, and that doesn't really change that much no matter what. Just kind of your personality on these 5 markers, interventions do very little to change that. So according to this model, you're kind of either born with the creative gift or you're not. I feel like that's probably true to an extent, and that I think openness is it's like a temperamental issue. And the way I kind of wanted to boil this down in my head was that anyone could learn to be creative, because I do think there's a mechanical process involved of just trying different things or trying to combine different ideas. And like one of the writing podcasts I listened to basically just said, just take 2 ideas from things that already exist and put them together, and there you have a creative idea. It's it's super easy. Anyone can make creative ideas. And then just go with what are the consequences of that and explore it. But I think anyone could learn to be creative, but I don't think everyone can be interested in learning to be creative. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's anyone could learn to fix clocks, but not everyone can want to fix clocks because you can't really control what your interests are. That's kind of how I think about it. It's a process that anyone could technically learn, but not everybody will want to learn it. And also, it's probably a lot easier for some people to learn it, and some people do have more ability in that area than others, and it just comes to them more naturally than others, which would probably contribute to how much you'd want to learn it, if it's really hard for you or if it's really easy for you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know, a mix of both.
People have capacities.
Yeah,
ranges
definitely.
Of capacities that can be developed, but there's probably hard limit on everything. You can't get better at seeing all of a sudden unless you get a laser shot at it. in that same way, I think we could put technology in our brain to make us more creative. I'm sure that's possible. I don't.
In theory, yeah.
We'd have to understand what definition of creative we're using at the time before we altered our brain around it.
Yeah, one of the things that's part of openness, the personality dimension, is curiosity. So it's just like, yeah, if you don't have curiosity or openness to new ideas, then you're not going to end up making a lot of creative works. It doesn't mean you can't. It just means that you're not inclined to.
I think creativity is also based on expertise of, when we're talking about creativity as production, like you can't write a TV pilot unless you understand all these interesting little dynamics of TV pilots, and not just like how they're sold, but like how they're written and what structure television pilots generally take. Like if you want to be a painter, you have to know like how the paints that you use, at least how they feel, how they interact with each other. Stuff like that is really expertise is part of creativity, is something that, yeah, it's possible for everyone to develop for the most part, unless you have no hands or whatever. But even then we can find ways.
Yeah, you could paint, putting a paintbrush in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or with your feet. I know some people draw with their feet.
Yeah, totally.
Or with their retina on a television screen that matches where their looks where their eye is, and you wink to send ink.
Every time you wink, it changes color, and then you're just like pink, and draw a little bit there. That'd be cool. A little bit of both.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely unambiguously both. It's both a process and also a skill, right?
Yeah, and we know because we are creative geniuses.
Yep. No, I think it's actually more God's creation that we discover, and it is glorious, and it's revealed to us because we've pleased God somehow, which I'm in favor of. So I'm happy to hear that, and I'm glad
that we pleased God enough
for him to share his
us.
bounty of creation with us and allow us to be the discoverers, the kind of archaeologists of the good Lord's amazing podcasts.
Well, yeah, the divine inspiration model of creativity, like in that thing that you've spieled off twice now, part of what you said was that it seems to be spontaneous because it comes from unconscious processes. And like, that's definitely like true of my experience of creating things, is sometimes you just get these fully formed ideas. And like, I definitely see why people think, oh, that came from the muses, that came from outside of me, because you're just like, I didn't build that piece by piece consciously. Anyway, it came from the incubation period. Thank you to that wonderful model. I incubated it, and then I had the intimation, and then it popped out, and it seemed like it was coming from the muses.
Incubation.
It came from the incubation.
Just touched, bing, idea. Bing, bing, bong. Here's your ideas. Bing, bong, bing.
Well, in the War of Art, one of my favorite pro-creativity books, pieces of propaganda, he talks about how every day before he does his writing, he actually recites the invocation of the muses, I think from the Iliad or something. I don't know where it's from. It's like a prayer to the muses of like, please give me ideas, oh great muses. And like he finds that helps him. And so I don't know, like it's potentially useful to conceive of it that way, whether or not you want to believe that there's actual muses.
I could see the advantages to that too, like removing responsibility from your creativity so you're not putting pressure on yourself, because that can impede creativity. If you're like, oh, I have to write this, it needs to be perfect, it's coming from me.
Right.
Like, whereas like a lot of good writing will come out of when you're able to kind of lose yourself in the process and just start spewing without thinking about it too much, and just like going with
letting the muse guide your hand.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I believe in that now. If I could take back my summary of creativity, I'd sum it up to discovering creativity of God's perfect vision for what you're doing / ghosts. And now for the story of Sparkle Baby, the god of creativity. A long time ago, there was a muse, a floating, sparkling baby from beyond time and space that gave humanity all of their creative ideas. Human beings were like fleshy little non-creative, pathetic gray robots. FM radios at best that could occasionally channel some of this beautiful, spontaneous, glorious spirit from beyond. Sparkle Baby, the floating, sparkling baby of creativity. Until one day, Sparkle Baby was in a bet.
Yeah, we grew up first before the bet. He became a sparkle teen and then a sparkle man.
Yeah.
Or sparkle adult. It's still genderless. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So Sparkle Baby grows into a sparkle adult and then has a bet with, we were saying, the god of fire.
Yeah, like a god of another
aspect.
Another aspect
of humanity.
Sparkle Baby had a high stakes bet with the god of another aspect. And he maybe lost the... No, but it's actually, like, a gamble feels really mythological, but it also is not the angle I want this story to have.
Yeah, because you want Sparkle Baby to... It's a gift, or Sparkle Adult to give the gift of creativity away. So, spoiler alert, but the end of this myth, the idea is that Sparkle Baby grows into a Sparkle Man or a Sparkle Adult, and in gaining maturity... decides to also give humanity maturity and give them the capacity to rearrange their psychic matter in a way that seems spontaneous and creative from the outside, but they can do it themselves. It's a great gift and a sacrifice for him because, before that he was the source of all creative ideas and now he's giving that away. It's a very Jesus-like.
Mm-hmm. No longer the bottleneck of human innovation.
Right.
Which is good for muse.
For all of us. That's why we get to make this podcast. Thank you,
every
Sparkle
human
Man.
is imbued with the creative potential that was once reserved only for Sparkle Baby.
I know you kind of were like iffy about this. I like the idea that Sparkle Man dissolves himself into all people or they consume him somehow.
Oh yeah.
Cannibalistic.
The humans fight Sparkle Man and then consume him, and then they gain. This is the mythological.
Yeah, I was thinking fighting them because then it's not a gift again. But if he willingly gives himself as food,
it's like Gulliver's Travels, except they're eating him, and he's the muse of all human creativity.
Yeah,
and it's like at the beginning of time. Yeah, I could dig that. That feels something.
There's a little bit of sparkle in all of us now.
Something on that spectrum is what happened.
And now we all have creativity.
And the rest is up to you, little creative thinker you, because you were given the gift of creativity from Sparkle Baby as they grew up into Sparkle Adult and was dissolved across humanity.
Praise be to Sparkle Adult.
The end.
All right, well, I guess that about wraps it up. We got it all, hey? I think
we checked them all off. We got to the bottom of it. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks to the ghosts and the ghouls for providing everything that we think and say on the show by putting it in our brain.
Oh, fuck. You know what, dude? I don't know. I actually think this was terrible and we didn't cover at all what we needed to cover. We're like total fucking hacks and this episode sucked. And... I don't even know why we do this podcast. We're fucking idiots. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, for some reason that rings true this time.
Yeah, it's bad. Self-doubt is always true, and we should listen to it, so let's just not release this one.
When we get to the part of the show when Aaron and I start asking for monthly donations on Patreon in exchange for bonus episodes and other cool bonuses, I like to imagine that you're imagining that suddenly we get black bands around our eyes and we're wearing striped shirts and we're holding a big bag with a money sign on it and pointing a gun at you and pointing to the bag the whole time. Give us $6 a month. We'll give you bonus episodes. We really appreciate it. It makes a big difference.
That's how I feel. So hopefully that's how you see us.
Yeah, hopefully that's how it comes across because that's kind of been the gag this whole time.
Yeah. So you can do that on Patreon or on our website through PayPal if you hate Patreon. And thanks for listening.
And thanks for being creative or not if you don't want to be and you're not interested in it.
Yeah. If you're low in openness, then you don't have to.
But you might be high in something else like neuroticism. Who knows?
It's all good.
It's all good.
This can't be right?
No, boys.
Next time on Seriously Wrong, Shawn and Aaron discover something that is neither repetition nor novelty, nor a novel repetition. Tune in to find out what it is.